Okay, moving on to new business, item number 4. And for the, again, for the sake of brevity, you're all very familiar with my request to put this on today's agenda to make sure that we're doing our job and keeping things equal. As we've gone back and revisited Mr. McGregor's case, I think it was fair for Nate Diaz to also have the same consideration. So in order to do that, I'm sorry, did I say Nate?
Yes, Nate.
My apologies, I meant Nate. In order to do that, we would need to have a motion for the rehearing of this particular fighter to get into that. So I would look to the commission. I obviously support this as I've asked it to be put on the agenda. So I would look for approval of this item.
That's a motion for approval.
Okay, great. Do I have a second?
Second, sir.
Great. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Motion passes unanimously. So let's move on to item number 5. I understand that we have Nate Diaz is on the phone. So if we need him, we can ask him some questions. Great. So I think right now that before we would do that, unless that's necessary, we'll turn it over to Deputy Attorney General Bateman for her recommendations in this issue and keeping it at parity with the decision we made for Mr. McGregor.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Caroline Bateman. I'm a Deputy Attorney General here on behalf of Executive Director Bob Bennett. This matter came about originally on December 15th of 2016 when this Commission approved an adjudication agreement to resolve Mr. Diaz's disciplinary matter for his conduct during the August 17th press conference to promote his UFC 202 contest against Conor McGregor. Pursuant to that agreement, the terms of the disciplinary sanction included a fine of $50,000 as well as 50 hours of community service. Notably, the director and Mr. Diaz entered into the adjudication agreement after Mr. McGregor's disciplinary hearing, in which the Commission sanctioned Mr. McGregor with a $75,000 fine and 50 hours of community service. Although the conduct of both Mr. McGregor and Mr. Diaz were similar, the director believed that Mr. McGregor deserved a slightly higher sanction based on his enhanced conduct, notably the throwing of the full can of energy drink towards the crowd. Based on all those considerations, the agreement was again for the $50,000 fine as well as 50 hours of community service. Last month, this Commission agreed to a rehearing on Mr. McGregor's disciplinary sanction and then approved an adjudication agreement that reduced Mr. McGregor's fine to $25,000, as well as a community service requirement of 25 hours. Based on the reduction of Mr. McGregor's sanction and at the direction of the director as well as the chairman, I reached out to Mr. Diaz through his counsel, Mr. Awad. After discussions between the director and Mr. Diaz, the parties have agreed to an amended adjudication agreement. And I apologize in advance to Commissioners Avancino and Aguilar that I didn't have an opportunity to provide them a draft of the proposed adjudication agreement. However, the commissioners present today have received that. For brevity, I just note that the only changes to the amended proposed adjudication agreement from his original agreement were to reduce the fine from $50,000 to $15,000 and to reduce the community service requirement from 50 hours to 15 hours. Again, as we discussed during Mr. McGregor's hearing, this isn't based on the purse percentages of the two parties, but rather the comparable behavior of the parties and what the executive director believed was an appropriate sanction based on Mr. Diaz's conduct. The rest of the terms of the agreement are the same as what was included in Mr. Diaz's original adjudication agreement from December 15th, which just the Commission approved. I would note that there were some ongoing discussions between the executive director and Mr. Diaz that went into yesterday, and that's the reason why we don't have a signed adjudication agreement that we can propose to the commission today. However, as Mr. Diaz is on the line, I do have confirmation, at least from his attorney last night, that Mr. Diaz was in agreement with the terms of the proposed amended agreement. If the commission believed it was appropriate and we could get Mr. Diaz's confirmation over the phone, we could agree to that, give the discretion to the chairman to review that final signed agreement. Obviously, if there were any changes that affected the materiality of the agreement, it would be presented back before the commission at the next meeting for discussion. Otherwise, in terms of the general terms included in the draft that has been provided to the commissioners, that discretion could be given to the chairman to approve as he saw fit, as long as there were no changes. And I'm open.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I have just questions. I wasn't able to fully hear whether Nate Diaz has to sign the proposed agreement.
No, Mr. Avancino, Commissioner Avancino, we did not have time to get it signed. I asked Deputy Attorney General Bateman to put it on the agenda anyway to move forward today, and we can discuss logistics on how you all would like to handle that. I am very comfortable that if this body moves today to do something different than what's currently agreed to, that I will ensure that it is done exactly as the motion reads. And if not, if it's off by one period, I will bring it back to the group. So that was why I asked her to put it on, so we could keep this moving.
All right, so the chairman, he would not be able to compete in Nevada until that's complete, anything.
I don't believe so. I believe right now he can't compete in Nevada. He has paid the fine of the prior order. So as far as we're concerned as a body, Nate Diaz is in full compliance with all Nevada law, and any prior issues he's had, he has made those whole.
And if I may,
All right.
as to the community service requirement, Mr. Diaz had until December 1st of 2017 to complete those hours. The amended proposed adjudication agreement maintains that date of December 1st, 2017 to complete the hours and provide proof to the executive director.
All right, and the last question, Mr. Chairman, was, has Bob Bennett approved of the proposed agreement?
Go ahead. I'm going to let him speak to that. Commissioner Avancino. Are you in favor of the agreement?
Yes, Commissioner Avancino, I'm unequivocally in favor of the settlement agreement. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I think, Commissioner Avancino, to your question, if this body today or commission decides to change what we've already got in place with Nate Diaz, I would give him 5 days to sign the agreement as written, and if not, then it becomes null and void, and the prior action will be the action that it was, and it won't get undone at that point. And if he decides not to move on it, then that's his decision.
Well, I speak confidence in you, Mr. Chairman. I know that you'll see that it's signed or there'll be further action taken.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Avancino. Are there any other questions from any of the commissioners?
I just have one. If any community hours have already been served, I would assume that would be taken into account to at the 15, at the new proposed amount. That way we would honor that if proven.
Yes, Commissioner.
Sorry, I did on boxing commission meeting. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay, any other questions?
I just had a quick question, if we could hear from Mr. Diaz, is he satisfied with what's going on right now, so we can get the spirit as a commissioner, what's happening, and just get the spirit behind us?
Yeah, Mr. Diaz, Commissioner Carpenter, I don't know if you could hear that question, but he would like to, as would I, was going to be one of my questions. If you are amenable to the proposed settlement that's been brought before the commission today?
This is Sam Watt, counsel for Nate Diaz. I think he may be muted. I know he's in Hawaii at 6 a.m. his time. Nate has already paid the fine, this vendor note, and he is fine with the agreement, and he will be signing it shortly.
Okay. I don't believe he is muted. I think he's on the line. We have him on the line and he's unmuted. So if he could just confirm that, that would be great if he's there.
Nate? Yeah, I know it's early his time. Let me see if I can get his girlfriend to give me information. I'm going to try to call him. She didn't answer. I'm assuming he set the phone down given the hour. Is it possible to get an email confirmation from him or some other confirmation?
I think if he could call Executive Director Bennett when he is available today, would be acceptable to me.
Okay, great. We will do that.
Does that satisfy you?
As long as he has legal counsel, I mean, they're in communication with each other, and they said he's fine with it, that's fine with me. It's just want to make sure that he understands we're coming at a different approach here. The chairman of the commission has been very gracious and like to get this behind us, so that's fine. They can flip on them.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions of the Deputy Attorney General Bateman or Executive Director Bennett? Okay, then I would look for a motion for the approval of the new stipulation agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I would second that.
Great, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor? Great, motion passes unanimously.